The situation at the border is getting worse, although not necessarily in the way the media either thinks or at the very least wants you to think, because this entire weekend of mainstream media was just Biden's crisis at the border, or if you're on Fox News, why isn't Biden calling it a crisis at the border? Now the thing is, there is a crisis, but not necessarily the crisis that they're focusing on. The crisis that actually exists is the current situation that thousands of unaccompanied minors are being held in. And reports emerged over the weekend that the Biden administration has at least 15,500 unaccompanied minors in custody, over 10,000 in DHHS, and 5,000 being held by U.S. Customs and Border Patrol, who I wouldn't want to hold, 1 to 5 kids, let alone 5,000. They're currently being housed in emergency shelters and facilities licensed for childcare, while the roughly 5,000 children being held by CBP are being kept in crowded jail-like facilities, according to a CNN report. And to give you an idea of what this looks like, here is a photo from Donna, Texas, of one of them. Take a look at this, and what does that remind you of? Exactly all of the photos, minus a bit of chain link from the Trump years. Now, that is not all of the kids and teenagers, but it is a significant chunk of them, and I would say that 5,000 counts. 500 would count, 50 would count, 5,000 definitely counts, Francesca. So that, I think, is the thing that needs to be focused on. That as of right now, thousands of kids are being held in conditions like that for longer than they're supposed to legally. For at least they're supposed to be there for no more than 72 hours. Some are being held there for 5 days, a week or longer. That is the actual crisis, I think.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's a mess. It is legitimately a mess. And honestly, I think it's fair to say that we have a broken immigration system. Hey, fun when you just let, political partisan hackery become more important than actually solving a humanitarian crisis. And when you give a bunch of money to militarism, but no money to like actual humanitarian services, like facilities that could actually house unaccompanied migrants that are, not a concrete floor. That of course, this is the crisis that has happened, and it didn't just happen under Trump, right? These are years and years in the making, and years and years of a strategy of deterrence, which is basically make it as awful as possible to try and immigrate, and once you get to the United States, make it as awful as possible to be here, that nobody wants to come anymore. But of course, this happens every single year. This is before the summertime. It is much hotter to immigrate, and on foot in the summer, in the dead of summer. That's where a lot of deaths occur. So it makes sense. This is not anything new. It surges around this time. The question is, can we actually house people in more humane conditions? And definitely, I would take away Customs and Border Patrol's own kids. I'm sorry, if they've got kids, maybe we need to call in on them. I'm obviously joking, but not really. So it is a mess. We need to actually tackle it more, sort of more holistically. But yeah, it's awful to see this, no matter who is president.
Exactly, yeah, and it's important that we call it out, no matter who is president. We've been trying to do that. Now you might think, you were saying, after all, for weeks now that you want the media to talk about this. We do. We're gonna show you what the media and politicians paying attention to this actually looks like. What we want, just speaking for myself, is get the kids off the concrete floor and get them into places where they're not likely to be both traumatized inherently by the experience, let alone victimized by the people that are supposed to be protecting them. And the thing is, look, as we said last time, with Biden, I don't think that this is the product of Stephen Miller hatching a plan in his volcano lair to inflict as much human suffering as possible. But human suffering is being inflicted, and even if Biden has better motives, more resources need to be put into moving these kids as fast as possible. And I understand all of the excuses about all of a sudden the number spiked, or it's a pandemic, so we can't hold as many people in certain facilities. Okay, well, you are the US government. We're supposed to be able to rely on you if a hurricane hits, okay? Sometimes people need to be moved, and they need to be kept in places that are humane. If this is the best you can do with virtually unlimited resources, that is a massive problem. So we are allowed to expect more. We should expect more. That is the actual thing that we should be focusing on.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.